right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining today. You might know me, you might not, but I'll introduce myself anyways. I'm Jamie Norris. I'm the Partner Solutions Manager at RingLogix, and I'm so excited to have, my friend and colleague here, Stephanie from Greenstar. She's got some great content to present to you today. I'll let her hop in. I know you guys have met her before, but if you don't remember, she's awesome and she's here with us again today for the hour. So
Cool. All right, thanks, Jamie. I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to go hit present so it does it right. And then you guys should be seeing your onboarding is costing you. Is that what we're seeing?
you got it.
Okay, perfect. Good. Okay. All right. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to see the amount of people in the lobby. If you got any questions or anything, of course, drop them in the chat or the Q&A. But today we're going to be talking about how your onboarding might be costing you and how to fix it. Like Jamie said, my name is Stephanie Benzik. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing at Greenstar Marketing, and I'm super excited to dive into this because I think it's often an area that's overlooked, but really critical to your MSP's success. So without further ado, I do have a little bit of background on me in case you don't know me. I grew up in my dad's IT shop and even trailed along to a few of the Cisco certification classes he taught. And as an adult, I began working for a VoIP provider as their first remote hire over 12 years ago. I used to port numbers and provision phones. So I've been in the trenches before, loved it then, glad I'm doing what I am now. But about 8 years ago, I did step into a marketing role and I pretty much haven't looked back. And today I lead a team of amazing marketers at a tech and telecom specific marketing agency. The QR code on there does go to my LinkedIn, so I'd love to connect with you if we're not connected already. I do share marketing tips and things going on in the industry, but primarily marketing tips. So if you want to stay up to date on that, please do connect with me. I'll have this again later at the end, but here it is. Okay, so today's goal is to show you guys how to turn your onboarding into a revenue generating engine and hopefully unlock more MRR. So a little bit of hot take here. Let's be honest. You can be the best at signing new customers, but if they leave within the first few months, you're wasting time, money, and effort. So too often the handoff from sales, unfortunately, can be clunky. Your customers can feel lost, and before you know it, they're ghosting you before the first renewal cycle. So today we're going to fix that. We'll be talking about the biggest onboarding mistakes that drive customers away, how to turn onboarding into a revenue generating machine, and why ongoing engagement is the key to retention and upselling. So why does onboarding matter so much? Well, the truth is most of the issues happen with clients happen within those first 90 days, which is typically that onboarding process. And 86% of customers actually say that onboarding and continuous education determine whether they stay with that provider long term. So if your onboarding is weak, they'll never see the value of your service. And when renewal time comes, they're probably gone. So another stat that I didn't get on here, but I wanted to bring it up on top of that. So according to Guide CX, over 50% of customer churn can actually be attributed to a poor customer onboarding experience, which is huge. So let's fix it. First, let's look at why MSPs are losing customers early on. So, what's going on? What are these big mistakes that are happening during onboarding? Number one, or not really number one, these aren't necessarily prioritized, but one of the reasons is a lack of clear onboarding steps. So customers don't know what's happening next and they're feeling lost. They don't know what to do and they're waiting on you, which can feel difficult for them. And the next one is over-promising in sales and under-delivering in setup. I'm not going to point fingers, but we've all been there. We have all been there.
Absolutely.
Where things get overpromised and the delivery is difficult to match. So if those expectations don't match reality, trust breaks with the customer immediately and you're not going to have a renewal. And then finally, poor communication and lack of customer touch points. Because if they're only hearing from you when there's a problem, you've already lost them. So think about it this way. You've worked so hard to win this customer. Why let them slip away over completely fixable mistakes? Now that we understand the biggest onboarding mistakes, let's talk about how to turn it into a revenue generating engine and fix some of those mistakes. In front of you are the 5 critical components to a successful onboarding process. Now, this is based on my research, my experience. We literally just went through an entire onboarding process, like redo in our own agency, just to make sure we were able to scale it and do better and make sure we have a tight, experience for our customers. So I've literally been in it for the last 6 months, refining ours. So these are what I found to be the 5 critical components of that. And if you're missing any of these, you're probably losing money or leaving money on the table. In the next few slides, I will go over each of them, but I'm going to quickly just summarize them first. So number 1 is standardizing the process, because a clear, repeatable onboarding playbook equals faster setup and a better customer experience. Additionally, MSPs that standardize onboarding actually see a 50% improvement in customer retention, and that is a huge statistic to not ignore. Number 2 is automating where possible. Obviously, some things have to be done manually, but I'm sure there are some repeatable things that can be automated, such as like progress emails during the onboarding process, AI-driven tools like FAQs and appointment scheduling, things like that. Number 3 is showing value immediately. So making sure you're setting yourself up to look the best possible. So setting up a quick win within the first 24 hours or first week really shows a lot of value to that new customer. As an example, I'm not going to say the example. We've got examples coming down. But anyway, number 4, educating early on. This can be as simple as training or providing knowledge bases, anything like that, just to get them educated early on, because that really drives up adoption. And then number 5 is upselling with emotion. So we all want to upsell. We all want to add more value to them and more MRR, but it's really hard to unless we're tapping into that psychological element and using that emotion almost against them, but it's good for them. So we're going to get into standardization first. And I want to start with this because an inconsistent onboarding process is the fastest way to lose customers. Here's why standardization matters. Efficiency and scalability. Let's say if onboarding takes you about 80 hours per client, give or take, because you're wasting a lot of time with swivel chair and trying to remember what you have to do next, whatever it is. Either way, you're wasting a lot of time that could be spent on other high value services. And a standardized process usually reduces onboarding time by up to 50%. So again, huge savings here for you guys in labor hours and getting that customer up to speed. Enhanced customer experience. So every client really should be getting the same high quality structured onboarding. This helps you stand out in the industry as a high value provider and encourages customers to send you referrals. So we all like those referrals because they're the easiest to close. So why not make it that much easier to get them? Cost reduction and resource optimization. This really talks about getting points to doing less manual work, because with less manual work, you have a higher profit margin. The more manual stuff you're doing, the more you're spending in labor hours and costs for that labor. Improved service quality. Standardization helps ensure compliance, consistency, and more importantly, fewer human errors. And then finally, better risk management, which will ultimately reduce security risks and ensure all clients receive the same level of experience. So question for you guys, you don't have to answer, but think about it. Are you documenting your onboarding process, or is it different every single time? Go to the next slide. Go. Okay. But automation isn't just about speed. So yes, we want to automate things and help you close that that onboarding timeline, but it's not just about speed. It's about delivering a better customer experience. So before automation, what's probably happening is key data points are being forgotten during the handoff. Slow responses might be happening when customers have simple setup questions, and repetitive manual tasks are draining your team's time. After automating certain things using either forms, AI chatbots, or auto responses, you can handle repeatable steps pretty much instantly. And then with automation, you have a faster onboarding process, which equals happier customers because they're getting through onboarding quicker and getting to use what you're offering. This all gives you more time to focus on those higher value services. So as an example, this is one we actually did. So using the same form to gather information during onboarding or assessments really reduces the chance of missing those critical data points to make a thorough proposal or strategy. So making sure the questions that need to be answered every single time are in something that nobody can fuck up, nobody can mess up, is perfect. But automation alone isn't enough. This will see what happens when I go off script.
It's all right. They know me.
Automation
They know
alone.
me, so we're good.
Good.
My favorite
Anyway,
word.
it's impactful. I'm sorry. It's great. It's
It is
good. But
passionate.
automation alone isn't enough. We also need to show immediate value. So I did touch on that briefly, and this one's hard to do because you're usually busy trying to get things set up. You want to, make sure they're getting what they need and your team is getting what you need. Sometimes radio silence can happen during onboarding, and that's the hardest hurdle for new clients. They don't like not knowing what's going on, and they also don't like feeling like you're not doing anything for them. So showing that immediate value early on can be huge to turn them into a long-term customer. And immediate, I mean, kind of within that first 30 days. Because within that first 30 days, that will define how a customer feels about their decision. And if they don't see those immediate wins, they'll probably start second guessing the partnership. So we definitely don't want that. So in front are some ways that you can show immediate value, which is rapid issue resolution. So during the sales process or beginning onboarding, pre-onboarding, whatever, if you're discovering things that have been a big pain point for that client, and that's why they're reaching out to you, prioritize solving those biggest pain points within the first week. I know that might be rough, especially for larger things, obviously, but at least making strides to solve that pain point will really go a long way with that client. The next one is proactive risk management. So let's say there's a security concern, running a vulnerability scan and providing an action plan right away can give them that insight and make them feel that value with your partnership. And then measurable improvements. So this one is the easiest of them. So what you want to do is document the baselines from when they started, and then show those improvements, whether it's in efficiency, security, or cost savings early on. And then beyond value, we also need to educate the customers early on. Because if customers don't understand how to use your service, they won't renew. This can include things like providing comprehensive training and resources to clients on new systems. This can be in the form of live or on-demand training. You can schedule interactive walkthroughs with clients. You can provide a self-service knowledge base. This can also include things like case studies and use cases, which show real-world examples of how other customers have used your services. What I love about the case studies and use cases is that this kind of shows them what they could be doing and is a great opportunity for you to recommend or suggest upsells. I love that one because you can say, oh, well, this client was facing the same issue and here's how we solved it. And then we also went a step further and offered X so that they could get Y. So it's kind of a nice passive way to kind of hint at those upsells. You can also do things like making support easily accessible, and that's going to look different based on your business. Whether it is self-service knowledge bases, 24/7 chat, proactive support check-ins, that one's huge, or just honestly having a dedicated point of contact with your business. So an example of, early on knowledge transfer would be instead of waiting for a client to submit a ticket, making sure they get a proactive guide on how to optimize their systems or set up or log in, whatever it is. Okay, so now my favorite part, which is talking about leveraging psychology in your upsell strategy. Customers make buying decisions based on emotions, not logic. It may start logically, but then it's going to come down to the emotion, and that's just us being humans. So when the AI take over, it'll look a lot different. But for now, we're making decisions based on emotions. So how do we position upsells in a way that resonates with them? We can tap into our customers' emotions by touching on this 4 areas in front of the screen: social proof, urgency, fear of missing out, and bundling. So with social proof, you can say something like, most of our top performing clients also use X product. And then with urgency and FOMO, this can sound like, this upgrade is only available for a limited time, or your competitors are winning more deals with this service. Do you want to check it out? And then, of course, bundling. This is an easy one because we want to couple complementary services with each other and just make it super easy for the client to say yes. The more things that they have to review on a one-on-one basis, it's a little bit too overwhelming. So making a really easy to understand package of complementary services is really easy for them to say yes to. Some upsell ideas, and I don't know if this is going to apply to everybody, but these were just ones that I was thinking of. But some upsell ideas could be email services, talking to them about the importance of email security and how easy it is for SMBs to fall victim to phishing attempts. So that's kind of creating a little bit of FOMO and urgency because we want to make sure they're not a victim of phishing attempts. And we all know it's unfortunately in the hands of our employees when that happens. And then dark web monitoring would be another one. So touching on their fears of data breaches, especially when those reports come out in the news of larger companies that fell victim to data breaches. Do it in a not like weird pushy way, but definitely talk to them about it so that, they feel like you have that handled for them, especially for those customers that need data protection or compliance. And then a really easy one is actually premium software versions. Because people do feel like they're missing out. So like it happens all the time with subscriptions, I could get the basic or I could get all these other features just for a little bit more. So those premium software versions can be a really easy upsell. And at the end of the day, honestly, your customers will want to buy more from you if you give them those compelling reasons. Okay, so that's kind of our onboarding areas. Now I want to talk about ongoing engagement because you might be leaving money on the table when it comes to ongoing engagement. Go to the next one. Great onboarding is really just the beginning. Ongoing engagement is what keeps customers around and opens the door for more upsells and expansions. And here's how you're going to stay top of mind and turn customers into long-term revenue. This is an easy one, regular check-ins and business reviews. You probably do some of these, but automated email check-ins and touch points like those quarterly business reviews, they're really upsell gold mines. You can use QBRs to highlight service improvements and then recommend upgrades. And then proactive support and communication. If you're able to track customer activity and address issues before they arise, that really goes a long way. So an example would be to send automated health reports and security alerts. And then upselling at the right time. So this is kind of key too, if you're tracking any of their analytics or activity, knowing when it's the right time to offer those upgrades or upsells. So like, for an example, if storage is at like 85%, automatically suggesting a backup expansion would really like hit them right at the time when they're feeling that pressure. And then leverage loyalty programs and incentives. Really, honestly, it comes down to just incentivizing your long-term customers, either with referrals or giving them discounts on like upsells. It could be super easy and it doesn't have to be a huge discount, but it's going to go a lot longer it's going to go a long way for that long-term customer. They're going to stay longer. They're going to feel valued. And then you've got, more MRR you're adding to that customer. And it'll be cheaper than trying to sign new people. All right, so this is why upsells and retention matter so much. We all know the 80-20 rule, that 80% of companies' future revenue comes from 20% of existing customers, or whatever it is. I'm sure it's a little bit different these days, but that's always been kind of the rule. And if you're not actively nurturing customers, you're likely leaving that MRR on the table. And unfortunately, other people are probably nurturing your customers. So that's why ongoing engagement is really huge, because you don't know who else is talking to them and you want to make sure you're top of mind and being that trusted advisor for them. So let's bring it all together. If you only take one thing away today, let it be this: the MSPs that win aren't just great at selling, they're great at keeping and growing their customers. So little action plan or next steps for you today. I definitely recommend you audit your current onboarding if you're able to. Where are your customers getting lost? If it's not documented, get it documented. Automating key touch points to speed up implementation, Scheduling those QBRs and ongoing engagements now, not later. Like we've all been in that situation where we have an idea to do something and then 6 months go by. So really like that's an easy one to get started today, is just get something on the books. It doesn't have to be for next week or tomorrow. It can be in a month, but definitely getting those touch points scheduled, it can go a very long way because we want to proactively engage our customers. And then identify upsell opportunities early on and make sure you're offering value from day one. Now, to help you guys get started, I've actually created an MSP onboarding checklist to help you standardize your onboarding process. You can download it for free here. I don't know where Zoom went. I was going to put it in the chat, but I'll get to that in a second.
I can pop it in there for you. I can go grab it and get it for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm actually going to scroll over so we can go look at it. Hopefully you guys can still see, should be a PDF now. Is it? Anybody? I can't.
Yeah, it's PDF
okay,
for
perfect.
sure. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So this is 3 pages and it's just a general guide. Like you're probably gonna have to tweak it to meet your exact business needs, but it's at least something to get started. So it actually starts in pre-onboarding because I want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row from before you even start. This can look like, step 1, confirming contract and documentation and making sure that stuff is stored somewhere that's accessible to who needs it. So ensuring all paperwork, SLAs, and agreements are signed. The last thing you want to do is turn up a customer and then have them back out because, they could because there was no paperwork, in place. And then hugely verifying billing details and first payment setup. I'm sure you guys all do this. It's just a nice, checklist for you guys to keep in mind so that this process is repeatable and scalable. And then step 2 for pre-onboarding is gathering key customer information, such as their needs, key stakeholders, and then any primary contacts, as well as their existing IT infrastructure or security requirements or whatever it is you guys are doing. Step 3 would be setting up internal handoff meetings. And if you don't do anything else, please do this one. Even if you're just if you're the salesperson here, having that internal handoff meeting is really big. Like you can write all you want in an email, but it's just not the same. So coming together with onboarding and your support teams or your technical team, whatever it is, and talking to them about this new client really helps them get a feel for what's needing to be done. So definitely would recommend having this handoff meeting. I love them because I get so much more from my sales staff when I get to have those handoff meetings. And then during that time, you can review any custom requirements or promises that were made during the sales process so that you can make sure to meet them. And then this one should be a no-brainer, but sending a welcome email, introducing key contacts and providing an overview of the next steps. So again, outlining what they can come to expect and making sure they have those point of contacts within your organization. If it's available, this is a great time to include any FAQs or knowledge bases, setup instructions, those types of things. And then we move on to the first week. So week 1, first impressions matter. Step 1 is getting a kickoff call with your customer. I don't know if everybody does do this, but it is a really nice touch point and easy. This can be as simple as reviewing the onboarding timeline and milestones, reviewing the new contract, whatever it is. It's just that easy touch point. You already have everything you need. You're just basically going over and verifying it with them. But it's that face-to-face or, Zoom to Zoom touch point that matters. And then this is also a great area for answering any immediate questions and ensuring the customer understands what to expect next. Number 2 within week 1 would be setting up those core services. So, if you're able to get those things started right away, because again, we want to show that immediate value so that they feel confident in their decision with you. And then number 3 is ensuring any network and security compliance. So again, depending on what you're doing with them, this may not be needed, but I still wanted to include it in here because especially if we're doing backup or disaster recovery plans, you never know when you're going to need it. So getting it set up quickly should be a priority. And then number 4 within week 1, either providing that initial training and resources. This can be just offering those self-service guides, any pre-recorded video tutorials, knowledge base access. And then you don't have to start in-person or face-to-face training yet. But getting it scheduled goes a long way. So they know what to expect, what's coming, that they're going to have that training, in the future. And then moving on to weeks 2 to 4, these weeks are equally as critical because we're building that customer confidence. So that can include things like having a check-in call to address any early concerns, proactively reaching out to gather feedback, and troubleshooting any issues that they're having. And then the second step would be monitoring service usage and performance. So this is when it comes down to that baseline, showing where they started and then showing that immediate value. You should be able to do that in weeks 2 to 4, just showing them, okay, look, this has been the uptime since we've engaged, or here's the network health versus what it was before, something like that. And then number 3, step 3 of weeks 2 to 4, you can actually start introducing those value added services, because you want to they're already ready and they're going, and they might be thinking, okay, what else can we do? This is going great. Let's see what else we can do. So this is actually a good opportunity to add those value added services. This is going to take a little more, thought with the onboarding specialist or whoever it is, to identify those opportunities. And then finally, encouraging customer engagement. So if you have the means, inviting them to a customer portal, or if you have a Slack channel or some sort of community, and then of course, offering a direct point of contact for ongoing support. Whether it's a small team or just one person, really having someone that they can reach out to and feel comfortable with goes a long way. So if you don't have, any sort of community or something like that, just having someone that they can talk to is huge. And then month 1 and beyond, this is when we move into that retention and growth phase. So doing a 30-day performance review, again, you're already tracking things. Had we set everything up, in the last 4 weeks, you should already be tracking things and can give them that initial value, metrics to show, what's being done. And then addressing any unresolved concerns, getting those QBRs on the schedule, and providing a roadmap for scaling services. This is my absolute favorite. You don't have to wait for them to say, I want this, or I'd like more of this. You should provide them a roadmap for scaling or add-ons, because that's going to put it in their mind already. You're planting that seed of 6 months down the road, we should now have this service, or we should include this add-on, something like that. So you can absolutely do this. And it's kind of a passive, non-aggressive way to just say, hey, this is where we should be at in a year. Like, we should be ramping up, assuming everything's going fine. So this is huge. If you take anything else from today, take this one. And then months, again, we're still in months 1 and beyond. You should be able to automate some of that customer engagement. Marketing should be able to help with this too. So ongoing email communications, this can be newsletters, feature updates, service reminders, whatever it is. And then surveys. So using surveys to measure customer satisfaction and collect improvement feedback. This really helps the customer feel like they can trust you, because you're asking for that feedback. And it doesn't have to be anything like crazy. It can literally be like a 4-question thing. They can do a slide or whatever it is. You can use like a MailChimp form. I don't care. You can use a Word doc or an Excel sheet. Microsoft has a forms tool that you can use. That's what we use. It works great, and it filters all the answers into a spreadsheet. But honestly, just having that out there, not all of them are going to use it and take the survey, but the ones that do will either be the ones that are very, very excited with you, or there's room for improvement, and you need to catch that early on. Number 4 is identifying expansion opportunities. So making sure you're regularly monitoring account activity for upsell and cross-sell potential, and then offering those relevant services that align with the customer's goals. And then finally, if everything is going great and smooth, you should be asking for those testimonials or those Google reviews or a case study, something, because the next best thing to a referred customer is a customer that signs on that social proof. So we want to be providing that assurance early on, because they're not going to call you first thing. They're going to research you first. They're going to check you out online. They're going to check your reviews. So having those positive reviews and case studies or testimonials goes a long way towards bringing in net new customers. Whew, okay, so we can get that here, and I see the chats there. So I think Jamie got it in the chat. Oh, perfect.
I
Thank you.
did. And then, yeah, we had a couple people ask for the link. So Stephanie's got it back on the screen. But yes, it's in the chat. And Stephanie has provided her special gift to us for you to go ahead and send out. Gabrielle will get the form out when she sends the follow-up for the webinar as well. So if you didn't catch it here, you will get it in your email with the follow-up of the recording and, and the presentation. So That was awesome.
Oh, perfect. And that is it. So if you didn't get the, like she said, you'll get it in the follow-up email. I'd love to hear from you guys, kind of what's been your biggest onboarding challenge, or where do you think you can improve in that post onboarding engagement. I do have my LinkedIn QR code again up here if you want to connect with me. I'd love to, but let's throw it back to you guys. Any questions?
Todd raised his hand. Do you want me to let people talk, or
I don't
do you
care.
prefer chat? Because
You
I
guys
mean,
do
it
your
doesn't
thing.
matter to me.
I like it when people talk because then I don't
I
feel
do
so alone.
too. I do too. I'm gonna allow everybody to talk for Q&A. So just remember, be good or I'll kick you out. So but let's get you all unmuted and see if there's any questions. I'm kind of going through here. If I asked you to unmute, that's because I was trying to hit allow to talk and it, you know, did something weird. And so I think Todd, you had raised your hand. I unmuted you. Do you wanna, or was that an accident? Questions, anybody? Oh,
Like I said, if
I
not, that means I did my job. Just
I
kidding. Or
know.
I did
You did an awesome
terrible.
job.
Stephanie, I have a question. It's Glenn Coven from 906 Technologies. How are you?
Yeah, hi Glenn.
So great presentation. Thank you. I appreciate that. Questions about the size of organizations. 906 is a very small company. We run about 10 people. We don't have a marketing team. We don't have a sales team. We don't have we have many people that wear many hats. So the structured outline for what you guys put out there, I think we all kind of do that, but probably not written down, right? Like, so having a form or a process that we can fall back on. I came into a company that has been in business for 20 years and they don't have a lot of process. They do things uniquely to each customer. And I do agree with you. Like, we fall down a lot in those situations where we lose customers in the first 30 days because we didn't meet their expectation of like coming in, full bore and doing all the things that we had talked about in the onboarding meeting. So I see that definitely being a challenge for us as a company because we can get sidetracked quickly on small projects that turn into big projects or issues that turn into problems and then the sales or the follow-up gets pushed away, right? So, or promising things on the one side, but not able to deliver on the other side. So I definitely like the idea of having that checklist and at least internal meetings to know like, hey, if I'm going to promise this, you guys got to go do this next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of going, and we use whiteboards and electronic boards, and we've done a whole bunch of different ways to organize it, and it's not easy. Technicians aren't built to do great customer service. They're technicians, so I know that we're trying to coach them as well to say the right things. Don't kill yourself by saying the wrong thing because perception is the killer. Like if you say something inappropriate or just it could be completely innocent, but it's themed as inappropriate.
Like dropping the F-bomb in a webinar. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean even that's not
kidding.
bad because we're all human. But I'm thinking like we come in and we've been managing a client, let's say, and a new technician comes to that client and says, "Oh man, your firewall is really old and it's out of date and it can't record security patches." And we've been managing that client for 10 years.
Yep. And you kind of
The owner,
shot your own foot.
exactly. The owner's like, well, why do I have a firewall that's in my environment that's can't be patched? And we've learned from our mistakes. And the thing is, wording it as, oh, it's just time to replace this device. It
Yeah,
goes a long
it's
way
time to
versus,
upgrade.
yeah, time to upgrade because you don't have to tell them a technical reason. They're laymen. They don't care. They just know like, hey, oh, it's time to move on. It's time to bring in a new piece of device. So, yeah, all that goes a long way. And having structured and coaching and a process is really important. So you're right on with a lot of that stuff. So just wondering,
Yeah,
like,
well,
size
go
of company, more or less. How do you?
Yes. That is a great question because it can feel like a huge thing to take on right now as a smaller company, but you also have the advantage of not having to train like a huge organization. So you can set it kind of now and get it right, because you can kind of bring together all those stakeholders, which might be harder in a larger organization, to get everybody on board and getting this fixed and documented. So I don't think there's no reason that a smaller organization shouldn't have a documented process either, for all the reasons that you had mentioned. But the other flip side of it too is when you came on, I bet it was really slow onboarding for the employee experience too. So if there's not documented processes, you're probably going to like 3 different people trying to figure out and piecemeal together what you're supposed to do. And that's really difficult on the employee side. And they might be feeling like, I'm not confident in my job now because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So there's kind of a twofold benefit to having those documented processes on the customer side and the employee side. But just being a small company, I think honestly it's almost an advantage, because you can kind of decide together what you guys want to do, and it doesn't have to just be something that's implemented across like 1,000 people, which is difficult to get that adoption done.
Well, and like Glenn, just to chime in, like I feel like one good way to start that we talk to partners about with VoIP, but I feel like it would like work in anything in MSP sells, is having like a project management call, you could call it, or like we do a kickoff call. You know, if you've ever joined a Ring, which Glenn, I know you came in at 9:06, like before you before they onboarded with us. But at RingLogix, we have a kickoff call with all of our new partners. So like you guys as partners, in that call are all your key people. We go through expectations. We give you like how we kind of hit the 5 points that Stephanie brought up. We get together as a team. We talk about what was discussed with sales. We go over, agreements if we need to. We talk about the expectation for onboarding. We give you a gift. We give you a bunch of downloadables and customized collateral. So you're getting that instant gratification. So even just you guys internally, creating like a kickoff kind of deck. And then that allows you to lather, rinse, repeat with every customer. So you're giving every single customer of yours the same experience. So even just starting by maybe creating like a kickoff presentation that you can go through with the customer, and also give them maybe as like a leave behind.
Yeah, I like that kickoff calls. Those are great, because again, it just lessens the anxiety of the room, right? And it just allows us to have that a little bit of personal touch to add to the start of that whole process. And it does seem a little choppy at times, no matter how quickly you can respond or what you're trying to do for that customer. But if they know, like, hey, we're in it for the long haul and we're good people, we grew up in the neighborhood right next to it. And you guys don't know, but we live in the Upper Peninsula. 20,000 people is the largest city, and I live in that city in Marquette, Michigan. So we don't deal with millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people. So if you throw a rock, you're going to hit a cousin, brother, sister, aunt, or husband, or someone or they know. So it's really kind of a close knit family and community. We have support of 200 different clients throughout the Upper Peninsula, and 25 of them are strategic monthly service contracts that we provide access to or provide support for. So
nice.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Glenn, I'll send you like our kickoff deck that we use with new partners, maybe, so to give you guys some like inspiration. Obviously, you could, you probably can't use it directly for your customer like as is, but it may give you some inspiration like on how you could build a slide deck along with like Stephanie's checklist and things like that. So
yeah, send it to me. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
I will. You're
we
welcome.
do the same thing. We have a little presentation, and it's the same kind of rinse and repeat. We have it as a template, and it's also really nice because no matter which project manager is onboarding that customer and having that kickoff call, they have that guide to bring them through the process. And it also helps that customer feel a lot more confident in you guys being an organized, on the ball company. So it's it's wonderful. I would absolutely recommend having some sort of flow for that kickoff call.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the question.
not unmuted. You guys are unmuted. You're running free right now. So, questions. Yeah, yes, I can send it out. Actually, Gabriella, I might get you over our our partner kickoff call, and you can add it in the follow-up. Um if we probably started doing it about 2 years ago, so any partner that's probably over 2 years old at this point didn't get it. We've obviously gotten ourselves more organized as an organization as well. But yeah, I'll have the kickoff template. I'll get it over to Gabriella, and I'll just get it out to everybody in the follow-up. So what we use, and like I said, it'd probably be more inspirational.
Thank you.
Welcome. Cool. Let's see. That was Anybody else? You got Stephanie for 15 whole minutes. Anybody else? Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Or do you guys just want 15 minutes back in your day?
Either way. If you guys have
Either
more
way.
specific questions too and want to like kind of dig into things, I'm happy to do a consultation with you, free consultation with you guys. I actually really do like digging into onboarding and would love to just kind of do that with you if you have specific questions. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I also have my email right on the screen. So if you want to land directly in my inbox, please feel free to.
Free consultation.
Yeah.
I love how generous you are today. You guys are getting an onboarding checklist and a free consultation today just for joining the webinar. So
I can't not
awesome.
help. It's a problem.
I know.
Well,
It's
I would say
awesome.
fire truck, but someone already did. So
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, gang, we'll close out. If you don't have any more questions, or if you were too shy, you have Stephanie's QR code scanner. Her LinkedIn is amazing too, gang. If you are not following her on LinkedIn, please go check her out. Her posts are amazing. Not only are they informational, but sometimes she makes me laugh my butt off when I read something. So she's funny and gifted with information. So go check her out. And thank you all for joining today. Like I said, if you're too shy and you have a question for me too, feel free to hit me up. So we appreciate everyone today. Great crowd today.
Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
We could do this all day. We could do girl power. We could boost each other up all day. So, all right.
Perfect.
Cool, gang. Well, thanks. Have a great one.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
good weekend.